Hi everyone, may I present you the Montech Improved Hyperflow Liquid AIO, known as the Hyperflow Silent 360. In fact, Montech have listened to you through their social media, inclusive of the Reddit forum, as some of you have suggested that you wanted something stealth black. And you do like the performance, it's just that you do not like the ARGB on the palm block. So this is what Montech have came up with. And it's been improved. It's more quieter and perform much more. So let's see what this unit can perform. With this said, I'd like to thank Montech to have provided this unit for me to share with everyone. This unit comes in black or white. There are no ARGB on the palm nor on the fans. And it comes in two variants. This is the 360 and this is the 240. When you unpack the unit, you will be provided with an instruction manual showing you the quantity of all the accessories, inclusive on the mounting method on AMD and on Intel. You'll be provided with 12 short screws. These are meant for you to mount your radiator to your case, and 4 retention bolts. This is meant for you to fasten the block to your motherboard, which I'll show you later. You'll be also provided with tube holders, whereby I've already clipped one on the tube. As you can see here, I can adjust. And one thing good about this tube holders, right, there is a separation. See? And it does have a nice Montech logo, which is the triangle. So when you fasten this to the tube, right, when you are to do any adjustment, the tube will always stay parallel. Nice touch. You'll be provided with a spatula and a tube of thermal paste. And this is in fact a template whereby the cold plate itself, when you bought the unit, right, is being pre-pasted. If you were to do maintenance and this is being wiped off, right, you can make use of this template, paste it here, apply the thermal paste, and to use the spatula to flatten it. Then remove this off. As you can see, you can peel off, and there will be a pattern on the cold plate before you mount to the processor. You'll be provided with a AMD bracket. As this bracket over here, right, this is meant for Intel. If you want to use AMD, you got to remove this. Okay, let me just show you. Now when you're removing this, right, please be careful, as I have already smudged this thermal paste. So take note on this. So this is for you to remove this and to change to AMD bracket. Okay, I'm just going to put this back. So at all times, make sure that you have this cover on, okay? Because you might accidentally smudge the pre-paste. Now besides this, you will be provided with the AM4 or AM5 standoff. Next will be the Intel, the 2011 and the 2066 standoffs, the 1700 or the 1851 standoffs, and this is meant for your 115X and the 1200. And in order to mount all these standoffs, right, you are provided with this tool for you to fasten all these standoffs to your motherboard. Now these are the backplate for Intel. This is meant for the 115X, as you can see here, and the 1200. Else for this is meant for the 1700 and the 1851. I removed all the fans just to show you the construction of the radiator, and what's holding the fan on the radiator are by these long screws. Speaking of which, right, be it the long screws, the short screws, and the retention bolt, these are all stainless steel. Nice touch. There won't be any rust on this. Now, starting off with the structure and the design, The radiator itself is very sturdy, and on each side there is a subtle logo that says Montech, and same goes to this side. And as for the measurement of the radiator, starting off with the width, from here to here is 120 mm. From here to here is at 397 mm. The thickness of the radiator, this is at 27 mm. And inclusive of the fan, now the fan itself, the thickness is 28 mm. So total with the radiator, this is at 55 mm. And as for the fin stack of the radiator, this is 20 fins per inch. Now moving along with the tube structure, these are nicely braided. The tube length in fact is 400 mm. And at each end of the butt, you have this chrome finish. Nice touch. Same goes to the radiator end. Now, these are not swivelable, else on the pump side, these are swivelable. Now, coming to the pump itself, as mentioned to you, there are no ARGB, but it gives you a very nice chrome finish. See? Circular pattern. Now, the only thing that I wish Montech can provide is a microfabric cloth. Reason being, right, when you touch on this, right, it will give fingerprints. So it'll be good that this is being provided, so that, you know, for PC builders, right, when they touch this, right, with fingerprints, and if they were to use other cloth, right, you might just scratch the plastic surface. Now, as for the measurement of the pump, starting from here to here and from here to here is at 68.8 mm. And the thickness, starting from the cold plate all the way to the top, this is at 53 mm. Now again, this is being pre-paced, and for the specification of the pump itself, it has a max 3100 RPM and running out 0.3 ampere, 12 DC, and you'll be able to control the pump RPM as they provide the connector, which is a 4-pin PWM connector. These are the Metal Pro 12 Silent improved version fans, whereby the structure is very sturdy, it doesn't wobble, and as mentioned to you, the thickness is 28, and this is of a 120 mm fans. Same goes to the rest. And on each side, on the four corners, these are the anti-vibration rubber grommets, be it over this side or this side. And if you take a closer look on the blade itself, there is this particular ring, and I believe that the airflow focusing, right, there will be tons of air scooping through this area and to the outer area. So I believe this will definitely perform well. And over here is just a sticker tab, which is in chrome. Now these are daisy chainable, as you can see over here. So when you daisy chain them, right, coming to a point whereby one of the end is not able to reach your motherboard, you'll be provided with this extension, so you can just plug it in, and over at this end, right, just plug it to your motherboard. Now as for the specification of this fans, these are 12 DC fluid dynamic bearing, and it draws a current of 0.18 ampere each, and the minimum RPM is 800 and the max is at 2200. For the airflow is 72.3 CFM, and as for the static pressure is at 3.12 mm H2O. Now you might be saying that what's the difference between this improved version as compared to the previous Hyperflow? This is it. As you can see, right, for the previous Hyperflow, right, the blade itself have all this cuttings on the blade. Else for this, right, it's just a circular, and it's mentioned that it's going to improve more static pressure. And when I swivel this thing, right, see, it doesn't really wobble. Pretty nice. For Intel platform, in order to mount the block to your processor, which is mounted on the motherboard, you will need to identify what kind of socket you're using. Right now I'm using the 1700 socket, so I will need to use the standoffs, which all this package, right, is listed with what type of standoff. So I already removed 4 of it, which is the 1700 standoff. So you can put this one side. Now the first thing you need to do is to mount the back plate. And as mentioned to you, this is a 1700 socket, so I'll use this back plate, which is 1700. First thing, flip your motherboard over. Where you have 4 holes over here, using the back plate, remove off the double-sided tape. So when you align this threads over here to the hole, right, this two will stick. As in, like, the whole back plate will stick to the back of the motherboard. Now I'm not going to remove the double-sided tape. Assuming that you've done that, right, this will stick. You can just flip it over and to lay flat on the mat. But for me, since I've not taped it, right, I will just, you know, screw this in so that you will hold the back plate from falling. Okay. Now, let me just zoom in. Just do hand tight will do with this tree area. Now, do take note on this corner itself. It's pretty hard for me to screw this standoff onto this. So what I'll do, right, Montech have actually done a brilliant job providing you with this tool. So you can just plug this in. Okay, then you align to the thread. Okay, it will take some time. Align to the thread and you can just screw it in. See, it's quite easy. So this will assist on tightening this at a tight corner. Then again, use this tool, right, just to hand tighten this. And this is done. The next thing you need to do is to wipe your processor with alcohol, clean it, make sure it's dry, then you can place the block to your processor. And when you're doing that, right, make sure that the hose over here is facing towards the RAM side, okay, which is this way. Now, based on the fact that I don't have an Intel processor, I can't test it on an Intel, so I'm not going to ruin this thermal paste, or should I say pre-paste, but just to show you, right, in fact, this bracket is off from the 240, but just an illustration, see, it's exactly, this plate here is exactly the same as this. And if you want to mount this in, right, make sure that the opening is facing towards the tube, then you can slot it in. Okay, I'm just going to put this one side. So assuming that this is the block, okay, so what you need to do, right, is to place your whole block and to align to the standoffs where your hose is over here. Okay, I'm talking about this, the hose is over here. So once you have placed this in, right, okay, assuming that's in, next thing is to use your mounting board. There are total of 4. So anchor it, assuming you're holding the block, anchor it. Okay, and when you're tightening this, right, or should I say tightening this whole block down, make sure that when you do the threading in, right, or screwing in, right, do it like 1 round, then down here 1 round as in a diagonal, next 1 round, and followed by 1 round. Do this repeatedly until you feel that the block is seated on it and you can't screw any further. Reason for this, right? Why are you doing diagonally and alternately, right? You want the whole block to sit to your processor in a balanced pressure so that you have good thermal. If you were to screw one side all the way in and followed by the rest, right, your block might not be flat as in like having a equal pressure. You'll be like this or it be like this. So that will not yield good thermal results. So take note on this. So assuming this is already in, next thing to do, plug your pump connector, which is from the pump, to your motherboard, and make sure you read properly to which header. Okay, a lot will assume just plug CPU fan or CPU op, which is wrong. You will need to plug this to your AIO pump or water pump header, which I know this is on the third, or should I say the second header. Reason being, right, this will provide better amperage to pump your pump. Okay, I'm just going to plug this in. So once you have done this, right, the last thing you need to do, now this is all from the radiator. In fact, it are the radiator fans. Make sure you plug your radiator fans to the CPU fan. Okay, and not CPU op. Okay, some motherboard have CPU op. Do not plug it to CPU op. Reason being, right, your CPU fan is the master controller. For AMD platform, you don't need a backplate. All is needed is the standoffs, which is meant for AM4 or AM5. And it happened that this is on the AM5 platform. So make use of these standoffs. And you'll be reusing this mounting board. And you will need to change out the bracket on the pump with this. First off, remove off the original bracket. Unscrew these screws here, so we can just take this bracket out. Then make use of the standoff. Make sure that the long thread is protruding upwards and this is downwards. So you can just screw it in. Just hand tight will do. Now for AMD, it's much more spacious. As you can see, the corner over here, I don't have to worry. I can just use my fingers to hand tight all this. And to further secure all this standoffs, make use of the toolkit again, or should I say the tool again. Tighten them up. Once you've done this, right, apply alcohol, clean the processor. Make sure you cover the whole area, clean it properly, then dry it. Once you're done, right, prepare the pump. Take this bracket out. Insert this bracket. Again, as I mentioned to you, the opening, which is here, make sure it's pointing towards the tube. So you can just slot it in. See, this is how it works. Once you've done that, right, now again, as I mentioned to you, the hose, okay, the hose should be facing the RAM area. So align these 4 holes to the standoffs. Once you have aligned properly, right, press the block down, wiggle a bit, still holding it, using your mounting board, tighten them. Okay, as you can see, right, I swivel until it stops. Apply the same to the rest while still holding on to the pump. So I'm just going to go through the motion, still holding on to the pump. Okay, I'll start off with the top right. Go 2 rounds. Diagonally at the bottom left 2 rounds. Here 2 rounds. And here 2 rounds. Repeat this until you feel that the retention bolt, right, could not go any further with the forehands. So make sure you just do it, diagonally, slowly. So once this stop, right, you can't screw in anymore, right, with the retention bolt. This tells that your pump is seated nicely to your processor. And make sure, as I mentioned, do it diagonally. Reason being, right, you want to have your pump block, okay, assuming this is the pump block, right, to sit on your processor on an even pressure, so you won't have a bad thermal result. Once it's done, right, next thing to do, plug the pump connector of the pump to the pump. The pump header, which I know it should be here. Yeah. If you're unsure which header, right, check out on your menu itself. Just make sure that you plug this to pump header or water pump. As mentioned to you, right, this will provide sufficient amperage, or should I say more than enough amperage to pump your pump. Followed by the last step, which is your radiator fans. Okay, I have not attached this to my radiator, but do make sure that you connect your radiator fan connector, right, to the CPU fan one. Just a little discovery and to explain to you how Montech have done their pump block. As I mentioned to you, right, be it on Intel or AMD, maybe not on Intel, but on AMD, I can fully explain what's going on. I mentioned that the pump block, make sure the hose is towards the RAM area and not below, which you can see over here. And if you to put it at the side over here, right, it does work, but there will be obstacle, and not at the top too. So always place the tube near towards the RAM. Reason for this, right, if you to observe the pump block, look at the tube. It's away. It's not so close together. And how this works, right, if I were to delete the AM4 or AM5 processor, this is how it looks like. And this credit to debugger, I've taken off a screenshot from his content, because it does show you the die on the CCD1 and the CCD2, inclusive of this die, which is not going to generate a lot of heat. The most heat generated is on CCD1 and CCD2. So if you do place the pump block, the Hyperflow Silent, right, having the tubes apart, one is pointing towards the CCD, the other one is pointing towards the top die. See, it's apart. So this is the right reason why I mentioned that place it at the side. Reason being, right, the fluid, okay, don't look at this diagram. The fluid itself from the radiator back to the pump as it generates, right, is always with one channel cool water and the other channel removing off the warm water off to your radiator. So as a cycle, right, cool fluid going through, then warm fluid going up to the radiator. So having this cycle, take a look. The cool fluid is in fact touching the CCD1 and CCD2. So this CCD will dissipate more heat towards the cooler liquid and forming warm liquid passing through the top. True enough, this might absorb, but it will still dissipate because this is not generating a lot of heat. So carrying on with the warm fluid, right, you will go back to the, going back to the pump block, where this will push the warm fluid to your radiator, then cycle back where your fans, radiator fans, right, cool down the fluid through the fin stack and back to the pump, where again cool fluid flowing through, hitting direct target on the CCD1 and the CCD2. If you are to place this tube at the bottom, right, see what happened. This is the cycle. Your cool fluid in fact is only hitting this and this, where this is generating more heat compared to the top. So imagine that the cold fluid is going through here, it touches one of the CCD, good. Then it carries on to the warm fluid, right, to the next die. And having more heat, it will come down to here, leaving the CCD, the other CCD, right, not able to dissipate heat through the warm fluid. Because as we know, cold fluid, it will react, but if you warm, right, it can only dissipate this much. So when you bank to it, whereby it goes in a cycle, right, this is not a very good channel. So instead of heating just one CCD, right, you should be doing this way, heating two. So that's the reason why I mentioned that if you want to place this Hyperflow Silent, or be the Hyperflow, Hyperflow ARGB 360, right, or this, right, make sure that the hose is towards the RAM area. So we are heating directly to the CCD1 and CCD2 to cool it down. Now as for Intel, generation 12, 13, 14, I don't think it makes a difference due to the fact that when you delete, right, this is one whole piece. So be it whether you have the hose at the top, at the side, or at the bottom, or even at the back of your motherboard area, right, I don't think it will affect much, but I would say that it will still be best to mount it at the side where it's near towards the RAMs. See, you just cycle through this way, or even if you want to cycle through this way also can at the bottom. But do take note on the Ultra Core, which is the 265K or the 285K, which to me, right, I read a lot regarding about the die itself. The most heated area is at the bottom, so it will be good that you place the hose at the bottom. Okay, this is just my assumption, as I can't give you a confirmation as I don't have a Intel to test with. I'm just going to conduct a noise test, as how I orientate the radiator fans, right, is in fact pulling air from the back, pushing to the front, and this is my microphone where it will detect the sound. Now I'm just going to place this near the pump, and this is how it sounds like. And I'm going to place this far away, and I'm just going to ramp up the Cinebench, and this is how it sounds like. This is the original Hyperflow, whereby the mounting for AM4 and AM5 is only 2 point. Else, for the new Hyperflow Silent, it's 4 point. Later I'll show you the results between this and that. Now, I'm just going to test the sound on this original Hyperflow. I'm just going to place my mic near the pump, and this is how it sounds like. Gonna move this away to a distance, and I'm just going to ramp up the Cinebench, and this is how it sounds like. What you're going to hear next, in fact, is the noise comparison during full load between the Hyperflow and the Hyperflow Silent, which is the 360 variant. Now do take note, I've amplified the noise to 10 times. So if it's too loud, lower down the volume. I will be conducting a thermal test, and do take note that my room temperature is at 30 degrees Celsius. I will be doing a thermal test on this Hyperflow, comparing to the Hyperflow Silent 360 and the Hyperflow Silent 240. For the results, all these 3 Liquid AIO that I've tested are making use of the same component as you see on my top right. You can pause this and have a look. And as for my RAMs, I'm using the Expo profile, and these are the configuration on the PBO2 limits which I've set. And I'm making use of the application Cinebench R23 along with the Firmark and with hardware info and also Ryzen Master. The reason to use all this application, right, based on the fact that how I do it is that I have mounted the Liquid AIO on the system itself, and I'll make use of R23 and Firmark. Now, why am I using Firmark? Because I'm not using a discrete graphic card. As you can see, my system does not have a discrete graphic card. I'm making use of the integrated graphic card to push or to stress even more on the processor so that I can get the actual readings on the CPU. Now with this said, right, as mentioned to you, mount the Liquid AIO on the system, then I will conduct a 30-minute stress test running along with Firmark, then followed by a 5 minutes idle time, and I will stress again using the 10 minutes throttle test. This is considered one set. I've done 3 sets, and these 3 sets at the end where you have the 10 minutes throttle test, right, I've done a recording. And with the 3 recordings that I've done, I will pick the average. This applying to each individual Liquid AIO I've done. Now, next, whereby all the PBO limits over here that you can see, right, the settings, I deliberately pull Ryzen Master over here, so throughout the whole run you will see the Ryzen Master over here. This is to tell you that I've not done any tweaks or such. It's always consistent of what I've set, which is the PPT 192, the TDC at 152, and the EDC at 170. As I believe showing you stats live, it's more important than to show you a graph, because graph I can just plot any point that I like and I talk about it, how good this Liquid AIO is. So you want to know the truth, I'm showing you everything that I can. Starting off with the Hyperflow ARGB 360. Now, the idle is pretty good. I would say it's around 51 degrees, and 49 to 51 degrees Celsius. Same applying to the rest of the Liquid AIO, except for the Silent 240 is slightly higher. So as this say, right, as I run, okay, as you can see the timestamp is running. I will pull this to the last 3 minutes. Okay, probably around here. Now having this to run, okay, I should say around here. Look at the temperature and look at the clock speed and such. I'll start off with the clock speed. With the cooling provided with this Hyperflow ARGB 360, which is the original, you can see that the system is able to pull at a max frequency of 5.175, and sometimes it might drop to 5.15, but I'll take it that it's able to run at 5.175 consistently, and it has a boost clock of 5.5. Now, the temperature is hovering around 83 to 84 degrees Celsius, okay, and it is able to pull at this power package, which I've set 192, but it just pick whatever is comfortable, which is at 187 max. And this is the pump whereby, yep, it does matches the specs of what the Hyperflow. In fact, Hyperflow ARGB 360 and the rest of the AIO that I will be showing to you, right, the pump is at consistent, which is 3100 RPM plus minus 10%. So this match. Same goes to the fan, though they have different structure, but they run at around this speed. With this said, okay, let me just pause this and to bring out my Excel spreadsheet. I will take down all the readings based on this run. So as you can see over here, right, okay, let me just let it run. As mentioned, CPU running at 84 degrees Celsius, hovering around there. The max frequency, as I mentioned to you, right, is 5.175 gigahertz. Oh, sorry, megahertz. Then the mumble temperature, which is the system temp, is 43, followed by the first slot of DDR5, which is 42, and followed by the next one, which is 41, the second slot, and the M.2 at 43. Now, as for the score, right, as you know that once Cinebench run till the very end, right, you will get a score, and this is the score. So I will put this down, which is 35107, and I'll move on to the next one, which is the Hyperflow Silent 360. Okay, last 3 minutes again. I'll let it run and take a look at the clock frequency. See, most of the time it's 5.2, 5.175. I'll take the max. So this is at 5.2 megahertz. Okay, this is the max. Okay, then looking at the rest, right, like the CPU temp and such. Now, having said this, right, the max clock frequency, take a look. There are a bit of jagged pushing up. It tells me that this Hyperflow Silent 360, right, is grabbing whatever it can because there's sufficient cooling, better cooling, I should say. That's why you can see that their side, I mean, they are slight jagged up. So this is a good sign. Now, I will continue to feel the rest of the temperature. As you can see here, hovering 82 degrees Celsius. Okay, it's still running for the last 2 minutes or so. Then the mumble temperature 41. Okay, I'll put it 42. In fact, it's 41.5, but I'll just do it max. Then the SSD, I mean, sorry, the the RAMs. This is 39, then followed by 38, and the last one 41. And as for the score, okay, let me just pull to the end. This is the score. So it's at 35148. Last one, which is the Silent 240. Again, okay, this is Silent 240. Again, I pull it to the last 5 minutes. Oh, sorry, last 3 minutes. Okay, so around here. So I run. Take a look at the clock frequency. It's able to cool the 7950X, but you can only go max to 5.15 gigahertz, and sometimes it drops. So I'll just take this as a stand. This is at 5.15 megahertz. Okay, and it's running consistently. Not an issue, but I think that it drops and goes up, drops and goes up. That's why you can see the graph over here, right? Yeah, most of the time it's actually consistent, and some is pushing up. But I would say that most of the time it's consistent at 5.15. So this is a good sign. And as for the rest of the readings, right, same thing. Now it's hovering around 88 degrees Celsius, and not more, not less. It will just stay there. Sometimes, okay, sometimes it's 86, 87 and such, but most of the time it's at 88. Then for the motherboard temperature, wow, okay, slightly higher. And the RAMs, starting with the first slot, which is 47.2. Next will be 50. Okay, I'll just take it at 56. Then the M.2 is 49. And as for the score, this is the score. The results I've shown you the live feed, or should I say the recording. Though it's a recording, but it's still considered as a live feed of the benchmark. You witness yourself how well it does on the Hyperflow Silent 360, that it can sustain at all this temperature over here as compared to the original Hyperflow. See, though it's not a very big significant drop, but it still performs based on the fact that it does cool down even further for your processor. Not only that, your motherboard, your RAMs and such. And the score, though, is a bit like 48, more compared to the original, right? But it's still an improvement. The only thing that you need to take note is that some of you might want to use the Hyperflow Silent 240. Do take note on this. I would not advise you to mount it on high-end products, as in like the 7950X or the 9950X. But if you are running at TDP around 65 watt or 105 watt, not an issue. This will be able to cool down the high-end processor. And I believe that you can make use of this Hyperflow Silent 240, right, on a 7800 X3D without any issues, or on the 9800 X3, 9800 X3D. But you just need to be mindful to do your PBO2 limits properly. What are my thoughts about this Hyperflow Silent 360? I only got one sentence for it. The best value. Montech, you've done it again. This is your second Liquid AIO that you have come out with. Though the structure of the palm and the radiator is similar to the original, but you've improved on the fans, which kicks off and it does perform very well. Now, another fact is that the design of this, right, is very sleek. It's all stealth black, which I like. No ARGB nonsense. So sorry about this. Those who actually like ARGB, probably you can change the fans. But for me, right, it looks very nice. Take a look at the palm block. I like this especially. The only thing that I wish Montech would to provide, right, because when I mount this block, when you touch on the plastic surface, right, you have lots of fingerprint. So it would be best that you can provide some microfiber cloth to clean it, so to prevent scratches. And for those of you who actually mount this unit, right, please be very careful, as in like, you know, the plastic is easily scratched. When you purchase this item, right, there is a cover on it, as in like a plastic cover. I would advise you, when you mount it, right, do not remove that plastic cover. Mount it first before you remove. That will prevent from scratches. Now, besides this, right, as I mentioned, it performed well. As you have witnessed that I've shown you the recorded benchmark. Okay, those are actually live feeds. It does check out well. Not only your CPU, but the rest of the component, right, is doing well. And the reason for this, right, based on the fact that these fans are fantastic. A nice design. It's not just design, but it's with a function, whereby it did pull all the warm, or should I say hot heat, right, through the palm to your radiator. And these fans are enough, or should I say more than enough, to push off all the warm air out, or should I say the heat out, so that the rest of the component, right, it runs cooler as compared to the original. Now, back to where I was saying that the design of this is very sleek and elegant, and it does give me a very posh look, which I like. Now, for the original, right, in fact, it's not that I do not like this block. I do like it when it's white, where you have all the ARGB fusion on here. But if it's black, right, it looks a bit weird. This is my take. And another thing, if you notice, right, on the fans itself, right, I wish that Montech can do this. If you can see, right, the crest on the blade itself, see, there are some bubbles. I mean, this is pretty minor if you mount this radiator at the top, but if you mount it at the side, right, this can be seen very obviously. See the bubbles? This is based on the fact on the sticker itself. I would much prefer Montech to use back the original crest, which is like this, a solid chrome surface. In fact, it's a whole piece of aluminium, so that will, you know, make this Liquid AIO more elegant. And also the mounting mechanism. Now take a look at the mounting mechanism, whereby be it AMD or Intel, right, you see the surface, this is after how it looks like. No scratch, no nothing. I like this because the contact point is on 4 points instead of 2 points, where else for the previous gold plate, right, let me just show you. Whereas for AMD contact point, right, is 2 point. See, you see the scratches. So it makes the I mean, it might, not say damage, it just scratch the cold plate even more using 2-point contact for AMD platform. Else for the Hyperflow Silent, right? Excellent. Wise choice to make it 4-point. And you have more balance on the pressure of the cold plate to your processor. Now, something to take note. This, yes, it's a very good liquid cooler for high-end products, be it whether you're running off a 7950X, right, or a 9950X. In fact, 9950X run much cooler compared to the 7950X, but if this can cool a 7950X and able to sustain at 5.2 gig of clock speed, inclusive of the room temperature that I'm at, right, and the rest of the component is so cool, this is a go-to Liquid AIO to go for. But if you are using a 240, kindly take note on this. Yes, this is able to cool, but due to the surface area of the radiator, right, I would advise go with any processor that is lower than 105 TDP. Okay, if more than that, right, then probably it will still hit the 90-degree mark. So imagine this is only testing on the open bench. If I were to place this into the case, right, it would definitely hit 91 to 92 degrees Celsius, that's for sure. And the rest of the component, right, will heat up too. Things like your M.2, your RAMs and such. So take note on this. Alright, this is all that I have for you guys. In fact, my verdict on this cooler, fantastic. I truly enjoy what I'm playing with. With this said, I'd like to thank Montech to have provided this unit for me to play with and to share with my fellow viewers. And if you guys are new to my channel, if you like my content, do remember to subscribe and to click on the notification bell button. Till then, take care, goodbye, see ya.